This is internationally best-selling indie author Michael Brent Collings inviting you to join me at bestsellerlife.com/DCR to unlock my tips, tricks, and hacks for a successful writing career. So go to bestsellerlife.com/DCR and kickstart your writing adventure today.
This is Daniel.
And this is Krebs.
This is Alton.
And I am Matai.
And you're listening to Dungeon Crawlers Radio, the greatest geek podcast out there. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio. We have an exciting episode for you today. Just last week, I was at a conference and sat on a panel. And this episode, I'm bringing that panel to you. It's a great panel. It was lots of fun, and I just thought this would be a great episode to put out on Dungeon Crawlers. Now, I do apologize. The audio is a little echoey. We were in a really large room. I couldn't control that, unfortunately. But this is a great episode. There's lots of fun things that happened, and I really hope you enjoy it.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. Hello there. All right, well, you guys are in for a treat. So, this is the writer's room, Fixing Star Wars, and you have all entered an alternate universe. In this alternate universe, Disney's Lucasfilm has made a brilliant decision and hired all of us here to be script doctors for one of their projects. You've all been hired by Lucasfilm, woo! All right, so in a moment, we're actually going to have you guys pick which project it is we're going to break down. But before we do that, let's do introductions. So, if we want to start over here at the very, very end, if you could give us your name, your claim to fame, and your favorite Star Wars movie or TV show.
Oh boy, okay, my name is Tom Durham. My biggest claim to fame is that Jessica, who is a fabulous filmmaker, she's one of the directors at Martian Studios, which is my production company. I have been in 2 of her fan films. I starred as Arrow in a Twilight fan film, and as someone who got possessed in a Host fan film. I don't know who my name was, but I was awesome in it. And you really should see Star Wars Jessica. It is really one of the best Star Wars fan films that has ever been made, actually. So as far as cinematic quality and storytelling, all that kind of stuff, it's really, really, really quite awesome. But I'm the very fortunate owner of Martian Studios, a production company. If you've seen the recent Brandon Sanderson animated videos, my company produced those. And of course, there are a total of 3 Martians in the room, but they can introduce themselves.
All right, I am Daniel Swenson. I am a published author from the Fate of Dragons series as well as the Ginger Snap series. I also run a podcast that's in year 17 called Dungeon Crawlers Radio. And you didn't mention your favorite Star Wars film or project.
Well, it would have to be A New Hope.
Okay, I won't take any. Yeah, we'll ignore that. So Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. So that is my thing.
Hi, my name is Taylor Gates. I'm probably the least qualified person at this table, but first time on a panel, be kind to me. I'm an illustrator, animator for Martian Studios. I work for that guy, and I'm just very passionate about Star Wars, so that's why I'm here.
That gives you all the credit you need.
Right? Did you say your favorite?
Oh, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, okay.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. Hey folks, I'm Crystal Myler. I am a film producer. My claim to fame, I'm going to say I got into the film world in a way that almost nobody does. The first thing that I did in the film world was sell a script, which is pretty exciting. So I've done some script writing, some adaptation writing. I have worked on and off over the years for Martian Studios. And I think for me, I'm like original trilogy girl. That's where I land.
All right.
Old school here. Old school. It's going to be an interesting panel.
My name is Craig Geibel, and my claim to fame is I just noticed that I'm not actually on this panel.
I was wondering, like,
so rather than continue with this act of accidental presumptuousness, I'm just going to take my leave. Thanks a lot.
I was wondering.
He's a Force ghost.
He did that on purpose.
Awesome. Alrighty, so yeah, great panelists up here. So let's see. So before we dive in, we have a few ground rules, because up here we have a lot of people who love Star Wars and we love storytelling. This isn't a panel about hating on Star Wars. We want what's best for Star Wars, right? But we all know each other up here. We do tend to ramble. So we're gonna have a few rules in place that's gonna make this more interesting. Rules. Rule number 1, no retroactive changing to other Star Wars projects. So, for example, if you guys end up choosing The Rise of Skywalker as the project we're going to break down, you can't make any changes. We can't make any changes to The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi's done. It's been released. We got to deal with it. We got to make it work. But of course, like if you guys choose The Last Jedi, that could potentially change the trajectory of the future movie. But we haven't been hired by Lucasfilm to do that thing. We have to focus on our bubble and make it work. Rule number 2, we want to try and preserve the original source material. So it's really easy to say, oh, I don't like the sequel trilogy, let's just trash it and do Thrawn instead. We want to try, the idea here is that the script has already been written by somebody. Lucasfilm has hired us to take a look at it as script doctors and go through and identify problems and come up with solutions to improve the script. So we want to try and, we can't just be like, trash all the characters, I don't like them. We want to try and make things work. We want to make these concepts work. No nitpicking. So one of the things we're going to be trying to focus on is more core issues, because it's really easy to be like, well, that line was stupid, and that scene was weird, and that lightsaber choreography sucked. But at the end of the day, yes, those are important things, but they don't address the root cause of a lot of the problems. And I think what you'll find is that as we go through and identify core issues with some of these, that and we start fixing them, other surrounding problems will just start to correct themselves on their own. So we're going to try and focus on core structural, character, and thematic issues we may come across.
So we cannot debate color of lightsaber.
Correct.
Okay.
Why not?
How about color of milk? Color of milk? Can we debate color?
Definitely not. All right, last one, no real world politics, please. Galactic politics are totally okay. Just want to make sure, because honestly, maybe it's a controversial opinion, but I feel like it's not politics that is the problem, it's the storytelling. If you do good storytelling, you can tell any story. Last, have fun. Like I said, this is supposed to be more of a lighthearted thing, and this is all in good fun, like I said. Another thing I would say is this is, honestly, I found this in my own work. I've been working in film for over 15 years. I forgot to introduce myself. My favorite movie is Reg and Sid. Anyways, but yeah, what I found in my own work is it can actually be really helpful to kind of dive into these projects, break them down, figure out what the problems are, because then it can help you find that in your own writing, in your own stories. And so this is not only fun, it is educational. Alrighty, and with that, let's go ahead and pick what we're going to be talking about. You'll notice we crossed out the acolyte we were originally planning on talking about. I realized we would need like 2 or 3 hours to fix that one.
I'd say 2 weeks. I'd say 2 weeks.
We could do a whole series.
Martians work at warp speed, so it's fine.
Yeah, still 2 weeks.
So unfortunately, today, but there are plenty of other options here. So we're going to figure this out by cheers. You guys are going to cheer for the ones you want. Yeah.
We got someone ready.
What?
We got someone ready over there.
Got it. Okay. So let's break this down first. Who here is interested in breaking down one of the movies? Woo! Panelists, you can help me out with volume testing here. And who wants to break down one of the series?
All right.
There's our answer.
They have spoken.
They have spoken. All right, we're doing one of the movies. Okay, now which movie? Who wants to break down The Force Awakens? One guy. All right. Who wants to do The Last Jedi?
I think that one's gonna win.
And who wants to do The Rise of Skywalker? All right.
I'm not surprised by
We
the
have a
audience.
winner.
All right. Here's where we're gonna get crazy, because this is a writer's room, and honestly, a lot of us here we work in film, and this is actually what we do for our day jobs. We do brainstorming, we break things down, and we write a bunch of notes. You don't get to see that because you didn't pick that one. All right, so here we're going to break down The Last Jedi. You can see that, okay? And I'm literally going to start writing down notes as we go. To get us started, though, just to kind of help get the conversation going, like I said, I've kind of gone through already, and I've broken down certain core areas I think we can start discussing. And again, as we start fixing these core issues, my friend, other problems just start to magically fix themselves. So, let's see, what did I do here? Character arcs. Lots of character arcs. This is what I was like, fix some character arcs and you could make this really work. So let's see, so based on what we were given in The Force Awakens, what is the best next step for each character arc? Did Rian Johnson do it right, or are there better alternatives?
Can I throw in that they need a character arc because they didn't really have one?
That only applies to all of the characters, so I mean, at least they're a level playing field, right?
True, but I don't feel like there was any growth in any of the characters through this film.
Yeah.
Can we fix that?
Yes, we give them a character arc and growth.
And I mean, I think fundamentally, especially with this one, I think talking as like screenwriter room, character development is one of the core fundamental pieces of storytelling, right? You can't tell a story unless you have an arc to go by, unless you have some sort of progress, not because it is impossible. We live our lives all day where there are very flat storylines, right? But that's not what we go to be entertained by.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the goal of telling a story, especially in the film medium, is to entertain your audience.
And let's get rid of the running out of gas in space chase. That could have been like 15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you really start getting into the physics of it, it does kind of make sense, but that's my opinion. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and focus first on our characters. So let's focus, we have our protagonist, Rey. Does it make sense for Rey to continue to be a strong beacon of light trying to help Luke and Kylo, or should her arc take maybe a darker turn? And also, is there a way to help alleviate the Mary Sue syndrome that's been established thus far?
Yes, we got to get rid of that. I think Rey would have been a fantastic character if she suffered consequences. She never did. I mean, that's something we see throughout every time she shows up. Something happens, and she magically gets through it. Luke, he would do something. I mean, that was one of the great parts of Empire, is he goes to try to save Han and Leia and loses a hand. There's a consequence, and I think that character their arc would have been strengthened by her having those consequences.
And Rey would have been a million times more likable, in my opinion, had she been allowed to make mistakes or falter. You know, we all know that she was saddled with the Palpatine name later on. I would have liked to have had that happen maybe a little sooner, to have her struggle with that.
We're starting before that.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, we cannot change The Force Awakens, so we have to make The Force Awakens work. So that's been established. How can we fix that kind of postpartum of it?
I think the other thing to fix all this is having the writers talk to each other. Between all the films.
It feels like there was no plan going into this. Like, they just, I'm going to do my thing, I'm going to do my thing.
Which actually, that's not true, right? They did have a trilogy planned for it, and things changed, right? And so the question is, how do we address this idea of Rey so we've got Rey in Force Awakens already. What kind of an arc can we take for her? And I think if we're talking trilogy, right, one of the fun things about the one that you guys have just chosen is that we've got a whole other piece of the trilogy that we get to work with, right? Which means that if we want a character arc that allows for Rey to really experience, then what happens if she goes into the dark side? What if we allow her to be tempted, I guess, by Kylo Ren? I mean, if she could, like, can we allow her to accept Kylo Ren's offer and then watch the consequences fall out from there? What does that look like as a storyline trajectory?
Well, and that's kind of the problem, is that's kind of where 9 was supposed to go, but we didn't get that. That's a great story arc that allows for that depth, that also allows for us to see some change in her instead of this weird other stuff that happened. But then, we got to talk about Luke if we want to go further into this. But I do think she really needs growth, and I also think she needs to suffer consequences, and then we could see that growth. And then we need to have a little bit less of this woo-hoo stuff that's going on between her and Finn and Poe. So.
Awesome.
Do you want to say anything? I'm kind of talking the mic.
No, I think the casting for Rey was actually great. I really like Daisy Ridley, actually. I think casting for her is great. I think that what I would like to have seen is I feel like in The Force Awakens, she is able to wield a lightsaber. To me, that's a really big deal. Who gets to wield a lightsaber effectively? I think that's an important storytelling element.
On their first go.
On their first go. So there's a reason why she was able to wield it to some degree of competency. And so what I would like to have seen is why. I want to see why Rey, is it just because she's good with the staff that suddenly she's good with lightsaber? I would love to have seen a storyline where we see a little bit more of her past, we see a little bit more what her potential is, rather than just giving us that character out of nowhere. Luke kind of does something not quite the same way, because we're given a time span in which he could have learned it. Like, he spent some time on Dagobah. He did some things where now he can actually go up against Darth Vader, right? He could actually have a lightsaber duel with Darth Vader. And so I would like to have seen a little bit more about her backstory, why she is good at that, and really just kind of enjoy her training with Luke, where I felt like it went a little woo-woo with her training with Luke, rather than let's train. And see Luke in action with her.
Yeah, so I have a question about this, actually, for our writer's room. Knowing that we are coming off of the original series, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things that's so cool about the original series is the fact that the audience learns about the Force as Luke learns about the Force.
Yeah.
Right? And so with a training montage of any type with Rey, we are missing that audience experience of developing and learning something about the Force because they have already seen it in the original trilogy. How, as writers, do we address that so that it doesn't feel like a replay of a training montage from the first trilogy?
Though if you've seen lots of Rocky movies, it's the same training montage, and we love them every time. I mean, come on, Crystal.
I mean, there's a lot of elements from 7 that we should pull forward. So, why is she able to pick up a lightsaber and fight Kylo Ren, on Starkiller Base, which is technically Ilum, which is where they harvested all of these kyber crystals for centuries. And then there's that moment when you look in her eyes, you see the blue and the red saber. She taps into the dark side in that moment. That's why she's able to defeat him. But it's never addressed. We need to bring that in. Why? How did she tap into that? How was she able to pick up a lightsaber? We saw, Finn try to do it, and he was horrible at it. But she, even though she was clumsy and awkward, she still fought against a dark side user. So let's explain that and bring that forward.
All right, and this is going to be a nitpick, and I acknowledge that, but I want to know how Maz got Luke's lightsaber, because
it was never
3 movies,
addressed.
Never addressed. We can tell that story. We're telling that story in this.
Okay.
If you want to come up with
Fair
that
enough.
now, that's great, but I want a resolution.
There's a whole book dedicated to that. You can go read it.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here, because I actually kind of liked The Last Jedi. Okay, so, as far as, first of all, I do really agree. I feel like in The Force Awakens, she really had no for weaknesses. She wanted to find her parents, and that was kind of her main goal, but she's kind of just wandering around with people because she had nowhere else to go. I do love the idea, though, of her, being from nothing and having been thrown into this galaxy and into this conflict that she's never been involved in before. Suddenly she's got force powers, and everyone's like, oh, sweet, you're cool. You can, solve all their problems now. And you could really play with that, level of expectation from her, where, she's like, oh, well, crap, everyone's looking up to me. I have to become more powerful. I have to help everybody. And
I think if you do that and then she fails at something and then she has to deal with failed expectations.
Exactly. So I think that's a way where it's like, yes, she's a Mary Sue, and that's her downfall, right? The other thing I'm going to argue is the whole...
You want to define a Mary Sue just in case?
Oh, yeah, Mary Sue. So typically, if you don't know, Mary Sue is someone who's considered, they don't really have any weaknesses or flaws. You don't need your character to be just a horrible person, but you usually want them to have some sort of internal conflict and an external conflict that carries, that's the main point of their story arc, that they're having to overcome those flaws. Also just being just overly powerful and it doesn't really make sense.
And nothing bad ever happens to them.
Yeah, everyone loves them, and yeah. And honestly, I feel like Rey isn't the worst of those out there. She's not as obnoxious as some of those Mary Sues out there, but she definitely checks most of the boxes.
But part of that is she's not as likable as a Mary Sue usually is, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's hard to get invested and have you like her when it's like, why is everybody else liking her? I don't understand. But I was going to argue too, and maybe this is actually getting into the weeds, maybe I'm breaking my own rule, but as far as her being able to fight with a lightsaber, it made sense to me, at least in the first one, because with Kylo, he was injured. He wasn't on top of his game. She had trained with something, and obviously, she's swinging it around like a baseball bat. She's no prequels Jedi fighter.
That's why there's no weight on the blade. It's different.
Yeah,
well, now we're getting into the lightsaber choreography sucks, so that's not our job. That's the director's problem.
I have one question. I have one question. This is for anybody at the panel or anybody where you want to take this, Jessica. When I first met Rey, all of us, when we first met Rey, were like, oh, well, I thought she was cool, and the scenes of her salvaging the big Star Destroyer, I thought that was so cool. And immediately theories burst in your mind. Who is she? Because obviously we're there, and we all have our fanfic theories of what's going on. I wanted her to be Han Solo's child. That's what I wanted her to be.
A lot of people wanted that.
And so, what are some other ones that you guys wanted for Rey? But when you first saw it, you're like, I hope she's, or is she Luke's child, or is she,
there was a lot of breadcrumbs. Why the heck is the Falcon on this planet? And then she can just jump in and fly it like she's an expert.
Yeah. We can't change the Force Awakens. We can't.
I know.
True. But in this one, I wanted to see who is she? Who is she? She finally got to Luke. Who is she? And then I wanted her to be Han Solo's child, but
you're no one. Yeah, you're some farmer's daughter.
Well,
what?
And then the next movie totally just retconned that.
Well,
Palpatine.
Number 9 retconned all of 8. To be fair.
I mean, I'm going to be devil's advocate. Maybe we'll have the audience help vote on who's right or wrong here. For me, it's one of the issues I have with A New Hope, where it's just it is a duplicate of, Force Awakens is a duplicate of A New Hope, you can see. So,
and 8 is a duplicate in a bad way of Empire Strikes Back.
So the main thing though is she's the daughter of some important person, and that's going to be her main thing. I wanted something different from Rey other than Luke, and maybe I'm wrong there.
No, I actually think I wanted her to be outside of the people that I knew.
That would have been better than what we got.
Because that allows for more of a story, right? It allows us for a development.
But as a writer's room pitch, one thing that we didn't really see, we heard that Vader was Luke's dad, right?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they're thrown together and he saves them and all that kind of stuff. But what I wanted to see, and this is just a writer's room thing that I would throw the spaghetti, I would say, I actually want to see a nurturing relationship with the parent and the child, because we don't see that. We have forced father figure and parental figure situations because they get torn away or they get killed or someone goes evil or whatever, but we never see we're reuniting and we're going to be together.
Yeah, there is not a healthy relationship.
Especially because they were getting Harrison Ford back. So as a writer, as I'm thinking with my producer hat as a writer, I'm thinking, well, we're getting an A-list star back. Mm-hmm. And I want to keep and this is again a writer's room thing. I want to keep the audience coming back for a whole new trilogy. I wouldn't have killed Han Solo if one, but either way, I have an opportunity to, maybe we get a Force ghost out of him, and so in this one. But anyway, just a thought there of as a writer's room person, I would have wanted a relationship.
A really cool thing that could have happened, so in the expanded universe, we had, Han and Leia had the twins, Jada and Jason Solo. And it would have been really cool to see that she was the opposite of Ben as the twin. We've always seen that there's a couple twin siblings end up kissing or liking each other in a weird way.
We're not talking about that kiss because that's in the other movie.
I know, but there was kind of a pull together, and that could have been because they were twins, and maybe they got rid of her. I mean, this was a cool idea. Is okay, Ben went dark. They took her there. They left her there. Leia or Luke did some mind erasing trick to take her memory away so that she would be safe from Snoke and Ben. That would have been a really cool story arc.
Yeah. You do then address, I love the idea. You do then address how does Ben not know?
Yeah.
Right? Which is a whole other story we can talk about.
Well, and it's also when, they see the stormtroopers go, there was a girl, and he's like, what girl? And yanks them forward. Maybe he's been searching for his sister.
Which is actually a fun parallel to the fact that the twins didn't know about each other in the original trilogy. If Ben does know about his sister and has been keeping this under wraps for so long, and then it gets into why has he been looking for her? Does he want her for the dark side, or is he looking for that nurturing relationship?
Yeah.
So we got a couple options here. We'll hold questions till the end. Thank you. Well, actually, I'm going to ask a question for the entire audience. So we've got a couple options here. She's nobody, and she's entered this galaxy, and she's just trying to figure it out. Or she has famous parents, and that's going to lean into her, There's a couple ways that she could have these dark side problems, either being completely overwhelmed by this new world, or she's got family issues, right? Both are viable options. So cheers the audience. Who thinks Rey should be nobody?
Yeah.
And who here thinks that she should have famous parents? All right, famous parents win. She's Han Solo's child or something.
Now, next question is she Ben's twin? Or Ben's sibling?
Yeah, too far apart.
But you could have them as siblings, if not twins, right?
Well, I guess you could have had her frozen permanently.
There you go.
I mean, it only makes sense that she is.
Hey, with carbonite, we got every opportunity here. Well said.
I mean, it only makes sense that she's able to jump into the Falcon and just fly it like no other if she is a sibling. Because she would have grown up in that ship. She would have grown up knowing, the fact that she looks at him and says, ooh, the compressor and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's actually very clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also, being Leia's daughter, I think more so than Han's daughter, that's where her Force ability comes from.
Yeah.
When they come back in the Force Awakens, Han Solo's dead. Who does Leia go to comfort? Does she go to Chewbacca?
Nope, she goes straight to Rey.
She should have gone to Chewbacca.
I think one thing we'll have to consider here, and maybe we won't have time in this, because this was the challenge I had, is if she's been left on this planet and she's meeting Han and he has no idea who she is, what's the explanation there? How does he not recognize her?
I mean, that's easier for Han than it is for Leia. We'll throw that out there.
Oh yeah, and Leia, sorry. She interacts with Han so much.
I mean, that's kind of easy to answer because of the flashbacks we see. She's very young, so we would have to pull back when Ben, turns to. It's either they're different in age; they're not the twins.
But if they left her on Jakku, and now he's picking up there's this girl from Jakku, just not.
Or Ben could have left her there.
I mean, it's possible that Han didn't know where she was going as a method
Oh,
of
she was
protecting
like
her
taken by
if
somebody
she was
else.
taken by someone else.
Maybe it was Luke
he
or
doesn't
Leia.
know that she landed on Jakku.
Well, I wouldn't use Ben because then Ben would be hunt because that's kind of our story arc that Ben's hunting.
Reacts to
Yeah.
He knows that there's a girl on it because he put her there.
Maybe.
He wanted her out of the way. He didn't want to hurt her, but he also didn't want her causing problems.
Maybe he's not hunting her, but hiding her.
So do we want to keep? I mean, we could keep playing this all day.
Yeah. So let's say there's some we could work on the details more in the next session. But okay, so there's some sort of like mixed information here.
Well, I mean, yeah, she was on there for years, so he wouldn't know what she'd look like when she's grown up.
Yeah, but we'll have her as being Han Solo's child.
Especially if she got lots of plastic surgery. I mean, we cover that. So that works. She changed her hair color.
There is a force ability that allows you to manipulate things. So.
All right, so and let's move on to Finn, because I feel like Finn, he has so much story potential as an ex-stormtrooper, and I mean, maybe possibly force sensitive. I mean, what are some ways we can take better advantage of that here? Because we really don't.
So this is great because there's actually it's been released that the next trilogy, the Dawn of the Jedi that they're doing. They're writing it, but it's been announced that Finn will come out as being force sensitive, that he has the abilities, and that's something they tried to allude to in 9 because he's like, "Oh Ray, I gotta tell you something, but he never talked about it.
Okay, so as a producery writer room thing, okay, and in the writer's room, you're not just thinking about the movie, you're thinking about the movie trailer because that's what's going to sell the movie.
Okay.
And so what would be very cool and I think sellable is going to be you have someone in a stormtrooper outfit, there's some kind of action scene going on, and then a stormtrooper uses the Force. Okay, that would be a very cool moment in a movie trailer where there's something going on and he just does, I don't know what's happening, but fitting that scene in somewhere could be very cool.
And they've set him up so well to be a Jedi.
Oh yeah, they did.
Like and I think that's where you take this movie.
Yeah.
Is you allow him to be force sensitive. You allow him to take the role of the light side and play against Rey.
I feel like that would have been a lot more compelling. Like if Rey had been tempted by the dark side in any way, it would have been Finn who could have helped her or redeemed her, or maybe they would have done the 1v1 or something, and
he becomes the protagonist.
Yes, I would have loved that.
And that gives you a relationship between the two of them. It also actually allows you to take the same storyline basically that you've got for Rey and Ben, transfer it over to Rey and Finn with Rey in the opposite position.
Let Kylo Ren be the villain, but we'll move on to that.
And another bonus level to this would have been if he was Calrissian's stolen child, because the Empire took over Bespin. Maybe he had a child and they took him and then made him into a stormtrooper. Ooh. I know. Maybe I should do that someday.
This actually does address an issue that I have kind of with all three of the movies, is cast creep is so obvious in this, where when you're telling a story, one of the fundamentals of story writing is you have to tell the story from one person's perspective. Now, there can be other people who are involved in that story, but really the person who starts the movie and the person who ends the movie should be the person that you've been following their arc for the entire time, right? And I think one of the challenges that we have with this is the idea of scope creep is, are we telling a story about Rey? Are we telling a story about Finn? Who is our main character? Because everybody else has to pull back to be a supporting character instead of conflicting leads. And if we want to do different stories, we have to have different movies.
I think you can get away with Star Wars because it has that serialized, old school kind of feel. Like Empire Strikes Back, you have two. You have two going simultaneously. So you can get away with a couple. But you're right, you can't get away with 10. And so we would have to pick a couple. And I think one of them should have been Luke Skywalker, because you still have Mark Hamill as an actor. And he's there, and he could have been a person in there. I mean, the Disney corporate machine is like, ooh, let's be cool and let's get rid of Han. Oh, now we'll be cool and let's get rid of this other person. And their arrogance, I think, was too big. Because they thought that they could recapture Lucas's lightning in a bottle with a new cast of characters, and they obviously failed to do that.
So to be honest, there was a legal reason they had to.
Yeah, I mean, my question was going to be: was Mark Hamill actually?
It's just another $1 million. It's another $1 million in the contract that will solve that.
So when Disney bought it, he kept the original 3 characters and the Falcon with the circle dish, which is why we have a rectangle dish. And every time they used those characters, they had to keep paying Lucas.
I did not know that.
Well, again, you've got lightning in a bottle. That
I know.
That's just another zero
spend
on the check.
Spend the money.
Another thing I will never forgive Disney for is that we did not get our original cast together in one room.
Oh, yeah.
I will forever just be
that is
livid.
Good point.
Livid that Han, Luke, and Leia were not together at all.
With the fact that Star Wars is so much about camp and like the original camp and the original like vibe.
I mean, that's
a missed opportunity. Let's put it in. So can we play? What would you do?
We can't do it. We can't do a trio reunion in this film because Han's dead.
Oh, that's right. That's what you do.
Force Ghost. Let's say Force Ghost.
He's not a Jedi, so he wouldn't learn the ability. Sorry.
We'll just have to come back next year to the Force Awakens and we can fix that.
You could do an Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
Wait a minute. It's a Han clone.
Do that.
We could do a Han clone.
Or just a hollow message. Or a hollow message. I mean, Iron Man did that. Tony Stark did that very effectively in Endgame.
Yeah.
And so you could just have a little message with them there.
Which if we're saying that if we're saying that Rey is Han's daughter, it could be a message after she's been gone for a while. He was thinking about her one evening, and he just wanted to tell her something. And he knew that it was probably never going to get to her, but you have a message from Han.
Okay.
And she's watching it, and then Luke and Leia are coming in and watching it with her.
I think I found a way we can do this, even though Han's dead. We have a flashback. You have a flashback scene.
Yeah, they can deep fake. They can make him younger.
You could also do. It doesn't even have to be super much younger. You could also do what if Luke comes as whatever is happening, and we would have to decide what is the thing that happens that tears the Solo family apart, right? But after whatever happens, Luke takes a moment to go find them and to comfort the grieving parents.
The tear apart factor has to be different. I'm sorry. Luke having a moment of seeing something dark about Ben igniting his saber, and then it ends. That was weak to me.
Yeah.
Because
so what would be stronger?
Well, he spent how long trying to redeem Vader, believing in him, and that one was so weak.
Good point by Daniel. That's true. Luke, because Anakin / Darth killed a bazillion people, and Luke still had that compassion for him, and so
However, Luke very nearly did kill Vader. He had that in him, where he nearly made that horrible split decision.
Yeah, you're right, but he pulled back. I mean, that was after years of Vader trying to kill him and the Empire. But Ben has one nightmare, and it's like.
Dad, I didn't kill any younglings.
I do think that I actually forgot to write this down. My bad. I think I put it in a different script. And this is actually part of a world building problem. So I feel like there's so much potential with Kylo Ren. Growing up with famous parents who are constantly working on building the New Republic and all the pressures of that. I feel like, it seems silly. It's like, he had a nightmare, so I tried to kill him. Where it's like, if there was more build-up, if there was more stuff going on leading up to that, to lead him to
his mom's constantly on, these, meetings, these delegations, and his dad is constantly, doing whatever the heck he's doing. Maybe he's feeling a little left out. Maybe he's looking for other sources. So he goes to his uncle, and then his uncle, he's not bonding with his uncle, so he goes to Snoke, and so.
But this is where the comic books fill in the gaps. Snoke shows up and he starts manipulating because it's exactly how that is. Mom's always away on some delegation building the New Republic. Dad is trying to help. Luke is, Luke, and so Snoke shows up to try to manipulate those factors. So those are actually in some of the comic book stuff they've released.
And we need to put it in the movie.
We need it in the movie.
You shouldn't have to read a comic book to make the movie.
Correct. But I do like the fact that he is super temperamental. And we kind of see that appear where he's like freaking out. And, you know, he's kind of a spoiled brat because he hasn't had that parent time. You were going to say something.
So, I mean, I love the idea. I also think it comes back to this idea of whose story are we going to tell in this movie?
Yeah, there's too many going on.
Right? But all of them could have their own. So which story
Luke's.
do we tell?
Yes.
Luke! Yes. All right, so if we go with
Without the
story.
blue cow milk.
All right. Well, let's see. I mean, okay, here's another thing. We only got a few more minutes, so we're going to have to kind of race through these last ones, and I know this is a harder one. The problem here with Luke Skywalker is that he was established at the end of The Force Awakens to be on this deserted island, on a deserted planet, completely cut off from everybody. And that's not The Last Jedi's fault. That is, The Force Awakens established that. And so the question is, how do you explain that? I mean,
It's a school for Jedi. It's a school for Jedi that has been hidden away, and he's not there, all grumpy and you know being all disillusioned. He's there, waiting to train the next generation to come find him.
I have a great idea. So when we see that scene, there is a rock that is standing straight up. Why can't that be his wife's grave, or the grave of the child that he had, you know, that his child? Because I know, in the extended universe he has a kid, but that would be enough reason in my mind for Luke to exile for a while. He's grieving because he's lost someone important to him.
now, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit again. Actually, this is based on something, if you know Brian Young, he does a lot of panels about stuff like this. Here's the issue. It's like, okay, but if he's still connected with the Force, he would have felt that Han was in danger, the same way he knew they were in danger in The Empire Strikes Back, right? And knowing that there's a First Order out there, why didn't he go fix that? Or if he's stranded, it's like, really, Luke Skywalker's stranded and we can't figure out a way out?
I mean, we don't talk about this a ton that I know of, but you could get into how much grief can affect you.
That's what I was going to say. Grief.
Can we say that grief stops the ability to use the Force until you've processed it?
Actually, we've seen it in some of the novels.
Great. So there's an explanation right there. Is if the timing has coincided with the loss of someone who's super close to him,
Grief is a powerful
the
motivator.
grief had, So the grief has taken.
Grief and the school for Jedi, they both work. He closed the school down to process his grief, and he's waiting for the next acolyte to show up.
There we go.
While living with a bunch of Borg.
Or there's a upcoming school there that was off screen at the end of the previous movie.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things we could have done. And that would explain why he separated himself. That would explain why he's kind of grumpy. I hated the grumpy Luke. I'm sorry.
Did we actually ever see him grumpy in Force Awakens, or is it only in this one? So he doesn't have to be grumpy.
For 4 seconds.
He doesn't have to be grumpy in this one.
No, he doesn't.
He can actually do the mentoring he was supposed to do.
Yes.
Yeah, and having a Jedi school on that island would have been a perfect segue for Finn to get involved and I want to learn about the Force thing, and that would have probably kindled something within him.
That Luke mentored
Boom.
he was supposed
And I don't see him throwing away the saber like he did. That just raped me the wrong way.
Oh, this is our right room. We can change that.
Yes.
Question is somebody who has not seen past Force Awakens. This is fascinating to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
This should have come with a spoiler warning.
You don't need to watch anything more.
Is there maybe no room? You see the fridge wife story happen a dozen times over. Would there potentially be room in the mirroring of Anakin's relationship with Asuka, where he loses the apprentice of some kind and is hesitant to marry another one and marry her?
Well, again, that could be a really cool arc too. That maybe that's not his wife, or we can kind of go back to the child aspect. That was an apprentice that he was really connected to deeply and was killed by Ben.
They did meet in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Luke and
So it is possible. I mean, that's a good story arc that we could do.
And I think you can use the idea of the fact that Luke can have been burned as a mentor, and part of his arc is how do you come back from having given everything as a mentor, and now someone else is asking you for help.
But I think the grief part sinks harder when it's someone he loved, because that's part of
I think you
Luke's
have both.
focus.
Yeah, I don't think you have to pick between those two.
Okay.
Okay.
Twin graves from the same event.
Maybe.
All right, well, this has been awesome. We're unfortunately out of time. But one last question, yes or no only. Should Kylo Ren have killed Snoke?
Yes. But not in the way he did.
Ooh, I wish I got longer.
I'll agree with that.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. It was so cool. I think we're well on our way to fixing The Last Jedi. I think Ryan Johnson will be very grateful for all of our hard work here. Until next time, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you like this episode, please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you find us.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
What happens when modern magic, high-tech weaponry, and an unstoppable dragon collide? Find out in the epic audiobook of A Dragon's Fate, brought to life by Daniel and Krebs. This Whitney Award finalist novel will pull you into a pulse-pounding world where a secret cabal battles for power, and a dragon could bring everything to an explosive end. Don't just hear the story. Feel the magic, the danger, and the action. Get ready for a ride you won't forget. Grab your copy of A Dragon's Fate, now available on Audible.